God. Hello? Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can see me right now. Yes, I am late because of technical difficulties. But yeah, let me know if you can see me right now. Yes, no, you can just definitely blame the lateness on me. Right. Oh no. Oh. Hello, hello. See me? Yay. All right, it's doing that square thing where it's like focusing on my face. Hold on. Yo. Let me see if it's like, all right. Damn, it's like that. You're dubbing me with the granny title. That's not right. Nah, that's not cool. Listen, I mean, it's not like I don't know how to work technology. I just kind of hate it. It's just a bit annoying, especially right now. But yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Vanessa's gonna be on shortly. She just has to fix something up on her side as well. But yeah, thank you all. And definitely for your patience too. Had some stuff happen and just was dealing with it the best that we can, and just ready to get back into it. So yeah, I appreciate that as well, and the support too. uh, it's always, I'm just surprised and thankful how genuine and sweet the type of people that at least Vanessa attracted, and me. So I really appreciate it. Y'all don't even know. But yeah, so one of the topics which I think would be, what is that? Obama hamburger sussy. Okay. One of the topics that I definitely want to talk about that I think that Vanessa is actually perfect to discuss is political correctness within entertainment. So I'm excited to definitely have her on this. Just let me see if she's gonna be ready in a bit. I want to make sure that I keep the link as well. All right, and
Hello.
oh no, man.
This is what
Hi.
I'm working with.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get. Did I purchase the same one that you had?
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
same one.
It was the same one.
Damn.
So we can share it, which is literally what we were doing before. But
No, I
yeah.
want to go get it. No, but even when I, all right. No, I'm gonna go get it anyway. That's why I got a bonus
Okay.
for a reason. So
All right,
yeah,
but spend it on your card. Don't spend it on that. We'll figure it out.
I got it on both. It's fine.
All right. All right.
But hello, babe.
Hi, babe. Hi. I feel just so flustered. I feel like I need a drink because my camera was not working. So just why I got this webcam going.
Yeah,
But
babe.
hello.
You want the White Claw?
Yeah, I want the White Claw. Babe, you gotta lower your volume on your mic and your headphones because I can hear myself. We gonna make you the best content creator ever.
All right. I mean, it's been the same.
I know we're not always complaining about it, babe. Give me a second.
Yeah, we gonna have to give her the White Claw when she gets in here.
Okay. All right. I am back.
I was gonna go get you the White Claw.
I got it. I got a drink. I got it. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. So how am I doing this with my headphones? How am I turning this down? Is it on the mixer?
Whatever. We'll figure it out later. I'll just show you later.
Okay, man. All right.
It's not me nitpicking. I just, if I can hear it, other people can hear it.
I didn't say you were.
I'm not,
I'm
babe.
just,
What is going on? What is going on?
I didn't say you
Relax.
were.
Relax.
Stop. All
All right.
All right. But yeah, I was just, telling everyone thank you for their patience and everything about a little hiatus and just how supportive. And I'm glad that you attracted the type of people that you have, which I know it's most of them on here. But yeah, babe, how you doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on even after you were doing a long stream.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh damn, Esteban getting on me with the White Claw. But yeah, no, I wanted to bring you on, especially when it comes to the political correctness within entertainment, considering one of the first things that people got on you on was because of political correctness, which was the Little Mermaid,
Mm,
which I see as one when people try to use it under the guise of representation.
yeah.
And I want to ask you is like, what do you think is the goal for people to include like political correctness, like elements in their shows or movies? Like, what do you think is the ultimate goal?
The goal is, well, if we're talking about people in business, like entertainment, the goal is for them to make money. If it's people advocating for, like I'm just a black person that wants to be represented in a movie, the goal is just to feel like you're helping, I think.
Mhm.
Because we've already seen that, like people will say like, oh, representation matters, but I can't look to entertainment to be represented. Like I'm not represented in movies. I'm my own person anyway. So I think when people do that, it's to me, it just looks like they want to help. They're helping other people, not realizing that that person probably can represent themselves. They can look within themselves, and maybe if they're a kid, they can have their parents be their, a representative or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, the only reason why I asked you what the goal is because more recent projects that come out is actually just not been making money. It's just
Mm,
been hemorrhaging. So stuff has just been canceled and you see poor reception. Like for example, the new Cinderella movie that came out with that guy that played the fairy godmother. So
yeah.
it's like all that stuff is poorly received and actually not making money. So it's just I see these people doubling down or you know, these companies doubling down, but this stuff actually isn't making money.
Yeah.
That's why I asked in more online, like what really is the goal if the stuff is just kind of hemorrhaging money at the moment.
No, I think
Mm.
they are expecting to make money is the bottom line. And they're just going to keep getting funded by investors. So they're not going to see it hurting until they realize, like, if the investors weren't there and they saw that no one was buying their shit and no one was watching their movies, I think they would realize that, okay, this isn't actually working. But I think because I believe, I personally believe, like, a lot of the entertainment that's getting ruined is just a way to change culture so it's easier to usher in communism. And I totally believe that because that's what happens in communist societies. They change culture, they mess with history to basically make it easier to do what they need to do. So I look at it as someone is controlling all of these media outlets, someone's controlling all of these studios and saying, I want this woke shit in here and I'm going to give you money to keep putting this woke shit in here. And that's it.
Yeah, true, true. But I mean, it's weird because when we think about it, when it comes to like the entertainment industry, it's always been liberal. And when we seen in the 90s, stuff wasn't as bad, but we can see kind of like PC stuff. That's why I even wanted to talk about this with you. Like we saw Blade not so long ago, and then
Mm.
we were talking about Johnny Bravo, and that's why he's even on the thumbnail because that's just not a character that would be well liked today, especially. So it's just these industries are always run by more liberal people. Why do you? And I was gonna ask, why do you think it's just more prevalent now? Like it's more double down now, or could it just be the fact that me and you just probably notice it more?
I think we've noticed it more. I think this was a slow drip process because I've always said, like, uh I always reminisce about the 90s and how the 90s were just so comfortable for me because it wasn't like how it is now. Like I'm old enough to remember that we could joke about things and call each other or say that's gay or say that's retarded or say this, that, and people wouldn't take offense to it. It was just like, that's a word and that's it. There's this separation here. Like you can still enjoy art even with all these terms in it. But I think it was just a slow process. But for a while, I thought that that was just me getting older. And I think that's where a lot of people probably, I would assume, think because when you don't know what it's like to be an adult, right? So when you start getting old, you're like, maybe this is just how being an adult is. Everything is boring, everything is serious, everything's to the point, and that's a lie. It's just society becoming more triggered by things. And yeah, so it's definitely a slow process. But I think that when Obama got in office, it made it even worse
Yeah.
because he started that whole talking point of first he was so like, you know, help yourself, pick yourself up, you're not victims and all that, and then he started like, this is hate speech, this is so I think he kind of started it,
Mm.
or
So
expedited it rather.
So it's mostly, it seems like it's, well, when it comes to entertainment, I would say it's always mostly shaped by the current generation that we have. And that's, even though, like you said, that there's definitely more agendas behind it with Marxists and communists bringing this more in fruition to kind of change culture, because this is probably the best medium to do it is within entertainment, which is why you're seeing it with comic books and you're seeing a lot more things normalized, because when you play on people's emotions, it's the best way to manipulate them. So
Yeah.
I did find it very odd that, with us growing up in a generation where we had South Park, or we had like American Pie, and we had these really raunchy movies, that it shaped kind of like us the way that we are. But then we have this younger generation that if they were to see something like that, they probably want to email someone or call the manager to try to cancel a certain producer that was working on this movie. So that's why I feel like it is kind of just current. When we see movies the way that they are, we just got to look at how culture is in general, how people are now, and kind of
Mhm.
just shapes it the way that it is.
Yeah.
So what is it? I was gonna ask you, was like, what do you think is probably one of the best ways that this can be common? Like, do you think that we're gonna have more alternatives? Because I mean, I know we're kind of seeing it with Gina Carano and like the Daily Wire, but do you think it will take a long time, because this kind of industry has just been dominated by people on a certain political spectrum? Do you think that it would have like a shift, like there will be a competitor when it
Oh
comes to
yeah.
this?
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
competitor, but people need to start now. Like I don't like I think part of the reason I get very frustrated is I get up on YouTube and I talk about how people need to start doing their own things and just accepting the reality that this is the way that it's going to be unless we do something about it. And it's like a lot of people are still kind of on standby, like, oh yeah, culture is going to shift when they're sitting on their ass and they're not doing anything to contribute to the solution. So like I think we are going to see a point where there's going to be alternatives to all this woke stuff. But in order for us to do that, we have to be fully in it. We can't be halfway in, halfway out, expecting things to change. So, and we can all make a difference in small increments. Like, we don't all need to start our own studio and start making movies. Just the way that we communicate with one another, I think that's a good step. Because if you think about political correctness, just having a conversation, it's like, oh, you can't say that because that's offensive. You can't say that because that's harmful. So this is why with me, I am 100% unapologetic about anything that I talk about. If it has to do with woke ideology, I don't give a shit whose feelings I hurt. I will
Mm.
just, if it's the truth, period. That's it. So I don't apologize. I don't try to sugarcoat things anymore to try to avoid hurting people's feelings, because that's how we got in this situation in the first place, where people started changing the way that they talk, changing the way that they interact with one another, because they don't want to offend, they don't want to upset anyone. And we can't afford to do that anymore. Like you pointed out a tweet that Zuby said the other day, it's cowardice that got us to this point. I'm
Yeah.
done with being a
Yeah.
coward.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's weird to even, with political correctness in general, to me, it's just basically stepping over eggshells. But to put it into the entertainment space, which is mainly, it's supposed to just be art, it's weird to try and implement those factors, considering art is supposed to be a lot of artistic freedom. But we are trying not to offend people and trying to check boxes. It's, to me, kind of like an oxymoron trying to even put political correctness or limit art in general. That's why I feel like a lot of it sucks from what we see. I actually made the mistake of Googling political correctness. The first thing that popped up was a graphic of Donald Trump looking down at a couple of cartoon figures, and they were being like torn apart, and they had signs on them. And literally one of the first things that pop up is article by the Guardian saying political correctness is something that the right, a phantom that the right created. So it's just like, wow, so it's even the way that it's being portrayed.
Mhm.
So to even put it in films, it's automatically kind of just demonizing a certain group of people. Like, probably one of the more better examples to me is, you remember Head of State with Chris Rock?
Mhm.
Yeah, when he was a political candidate,
Yeah.
but the bad guy was a Republican. Like, He was
Yeah,
a
that's
Chris
true.
Rock was a Democrat. He was for the people. He was from the hood, so it made sense. But he was against a rich white guy who had all this privilege and ran as a Republican. And he was looked at as the bad guy almost always. And
Mm,
usually when you see political movies, it's someone always being betrayed as the bad person is the Republican. I
yeah,
kind of noticed that a bit more. Or when you see a movie where we have someone running for office and then the good guy, they're usually a Democrat. So
yeah,
I think you're right on when you say it's more of us kind of noticing it now more
yeah.
than it getting worse. But I don't know. To me, it feels like it's just doubling down more. Like I we heard about the new Snow White now, which is one of the girls has horrific racist tweets, and they're already talking about it having a leftist feminism agenda to it.
Yuck.
And it's just their stuff, like what's coming out now is just not getting it's just not getting good ratings, and it is just it's sucking, but they just kind of keep doing it. And I know that these people are willing to funnel down all this money and have it burnt up just to fit a certain narrative, but it's just exhausting to see though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is exhausting. But funny that you say about head of the state because wasn't the plot that they needed a black man to be a talking head?
They needed someone else because I think one of the candidates got caught in a scandal or something, and they needed someone else. They wanted him as a filler. They didn't want him to win, but
Mm,
they wanted him as a filler. But they figured, hey, he's a man of the people and he's black, so
yeah.
he would probably be a good candidate to bring up there. And then he was doing better than they expected. And yeah, he was supposed to be a political pawn for a white guy to take his place in more like in like 4 years from now.
Mm.
So it was weird. He was set up to lose so another Democrat can win. The I don't know, like I found it weird.
That sounds very
I-
specific to today's day and age. I can see how that would be. Yes, correct.
it's funny that you actually brought it up earlier. You did answer in a way, but I know that you can talk about this a lot where it comes to representation
Mm,
in Hollywood or in entertainment. And how it's funny because I would say that we have a sufficient amount, or just the term representation just bothers me specifically. I know it definitely bothers you too, to even say like, well, we have to make sure that this person's of color or a certain gender or a certain sexual orientation because I want to feel like I'm connected with them, but people shouldn't be connecting to other people on that level. Like you can just be a really shitty black person.
mm,
So that shouldn't be the only thing to connect us. But I was going to ask you more about that when it comes to representation and entertainment. That's definitely doubling down more. And I, of course, noticed more with the BLM riots that it did, though,
mm,
that it's just flustering more. Like we got our first black Batwoman
yeah.
came out of nowhere. And now Static Shock has a BLM origin in his new comic book. So do you think that will eventually not be phased out, but when we get these alternatives, that it won't be as prevalent that it is now?
I will stand by what I say in that it will be phased out if we all stick to our guns. And I like that terminology, especially now with Biden trying to get guns away. If we stick to the plan and do not subscribe, we cannot subscribe to any of this shit. None of this woke shit because if you give them an inch, they will run a mile. So I think that yeah, eventually it is going to go away. I think it's going to be a slow process because people are unfortunately there are still people that will buy these comics or watch these shows and stuff like that, but these are people that are already looking at the world through the lens of identity. They only see the world as skin color or sexuality or gender or whatever, so they're going to keep continuing to watch and support these things. So I think it will stop, but that's like I said, we have to reject this idea of needing representation, and we have to reject this idea of speaking as a collective as well. And this is something that I think a lot of people underestimate is when you say like we, when you're speaking in terms of like a specific community, like we, the Black community, or we, the LGBT community, you're adding to this representation narrative because when you think about it, representation, when they say this is representation for a black person, oh yeah, how do they represent me? What do they do? What about them? do I connect with? I don't, not at all. And that's just constantly fueling it. So yeah, like I said, we just gotta reject it.
Mm.
Yeah. Can I answer your
It-
question? I feel like I
no, you did, Dave. No, you did. No, I
did.
was just trying to take from that too. I kind of want to ask too, is there something that you notice, let's just say that you've seen recently that, well, I think I did bring up the example of Head of State, where it's something that we've seen before, but we didn't know was kind of PC.
Mm.
And now that we notice certain things, I want to ask, was there something in entertainment that you saw, like political correctness, that stuck out to you? Something more recent that you've seen?
More recent. I don't know. I
Um,
think all of it is just
or maybe there's things that we can look back on that kind of make us think differently. Like, probably one of the things that make me look at the show a little bit more differently is one of our favorite shows is The Handmaid's Tale.
mm,
I would say just a bit. Now that we look at it, it's kind of like, mm,
I love The Handmaid's Tale. I love the story,
yeah,
but what people are trying to use Handmaid's Tale as a narrative for Christianity, I think. I think
mm,
they're trying to use this and use Handmaid's Tale as a way to demonize Christianity and demonize uh Republicans because I remember that when Trump was running against Biden, that was a big thing. All of these performative activists getting on Capitol Hill with their handmade outfit, talking about it's gonna be the next Gilead. We're gonna be just like them. We're gonna be doing the rituals. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think it would be the opposite. I think the guy that we have now would bring us closer to a dystopian society than Handmaid's Tale. But that's just me.
yeah. I mean, I'm seeing more people wear the outfits when it was coming to like that abortion bill,
Yeah.
with Texas. That's when you were seeing more people wear the outfit,
Stupid.
which to me it didn't really. It still doesn't make any any
Any
sense.
sense. No sense.
But yeah, actually, Brighton brought it up. He was like, "What about the horror thing? That movie? It was Candyman."
Yeah.
So
Yuck.
tell me,
Um,
I mean, we already did. We really get into it?
a purpose for me when I go to a movie, the reason is that I want to escape and I want to have a break from the real world. I don't want to talk about social justice. If I wanted to, I would watch a documentary. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when they start injecting that, especially in a horror movie that has it just doesn't make sense, right?
No,
I don't know. I think that you can make statements, and first of all, I think like in the movie, what does it call it? What was the movie? I forgot.
Candyman.
Candyman. In
Yeah.
Candyman, it to me it felt forced. It didn't make sense. And I had a point. I lost it. I have Granny Gothix brain.
No, no, it's fine. But
Yeah, it
yeah,
just is stupid.
yeah. No, I mean, considering if anyone's, I mean, I'm not gonna spoil any name, but anyone that's ever seen Candyman, I mean, of course, there's origins of Candyman, like, as a slave and was murdered in a horrific way. But the new movie kind of played on that factor and really concentrated on, what was it, gentrification, police brutality, and it really exaggerated things within the movie. And the message really just, it was so loud you couldn't really enjoy the movie. It
Yeah.
was just the message. And with it being a horror movie, it was odd because it wasn't even scary. It was just message. It was
Yeah.
like it just felt like there was like some good cinematography, I guess, but it was just mostly like, hey, with black people in police, which I really was hoping that they wouldn't bring up, but they did. And then they kind of made it seem like he was a tool of white supremacy,
Mhm.
like against white supremacy. And that was never the thing with Candyman. He was gonna kill your ass regardless. Rather you were black. I mean, he did kill back, but the thing is, like, it was weird. And their way of like when Candyman is created, it was like when a black man died a certain way. No, but yeah. No,
Yeah.
I thought it was horrible.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it was stupid. But that was for those that don't know, that was a movie that I walked out and I went to the bathroom. I forced myself
Yeah.
to go to the bathroom because I'm at that point with movies where I just can't be bothered to because I don't know who in the right mind thinks they're gonna be able to make a movie and just keep pumping social justice, current events, social justice, politics. Like nobody wants to see that shit. Like, so I
Yeah.
have to assume you're just trying to piss me off at this point because I do not want to watch this.
Yeah, and I think another thing that really does play into a lot of entertainment and just stuff that we see is that it's the people that get hired too.
Mm,
A lot of activists, or more so black activists, get hired for a lot of these things. So one of the things that we saw, which they actually made a profit off of it, well, not well to give to donations, was with Jordan Peterson being portrayed as a Red Skull, which is he's a Nazi, and that was a run from Ta-Nehisi Coates, who to me
mm,
is probably one of the most racist guys. One of the things he was popular for was in that reparations hearing with Coates. He was with another
mm,
person, but he was trying, it was in regards to reparations. And a lot of these people get these opportunities merely off the fact that they're activists. They
yep.
don't really have any merit. He's known to honestly be a big race baiter. He had no comic book experience at all, but they hired him to do Captain America in Black Panther when he had no experience under him. It was
Yeah.
just in regards to racism. So a lot of stuff that we do see, it's really the people that they hire too. And I know this would be, well, I wouldn't say it's so much of a hot take, but some of the biggest things that we're seeing with entertainment that cater to a specific group of people, I would say, is through Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And it's weird because, you know, not everyone, I would say like Twitter is a very small subsection of people with just very loud voices, but it's very scary how they do influence the kind of culture landscape that we see, and especially in regards to entertainment too. I think one of the main examples would probably be like comic books. A lot of really SJW comic book writers are on Twitter, and it seems like they get a bunch of their feedback and also praise from there as well. So it's anytime I hear of like any bad news, it's really through Twitter. I mean, that's where you want to go to when it's regards to bad news anyway. But I find that they're probably one of the reasons why we're even seeing a lot of these decisions being made too. That or like TikTok, or
Yeah.
what we'll just see more kind of leftist nuts. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Oh
find it
yeah. It's definitely these social media apps have definitely facilitated a lot of this shit. And then when you mix that with the private businesses doing what they want and censoring people that are right leaning or don't subscribe to this woke bullshit, you're basically social engineering a new culture for a small minority of people.
yeah.
And to your point that a lot of activists get hired for these things, yeah, because um, I think these businesses are looking for people that can organize other people, and activists are good with stuff like that. They can organize. So yeah, it works, and it's funny you bring up Jordan Peterson. So we're all going to go see Jordan Peterson in February. I'm so excited. I'm going to
Yeah.
go see a Nazi speak live as a POC. I'm going to watch him, and I'm so excited. And but this goes to show you that a lot of these activists have their heads so far up their ass that they don't stop to consider who am I actually calling a Nazi? Because if you read Jordan Peterson, it's like he could a lot of his writings could actually help the same people that are complaining, right? So it's like
Mhm.
I look at like his rule books as an actual like guide to living a good life. And why would you want to hide that? Oh, because you want to keep the black man down. That's what it comes down to. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what it is. That's what is happening.
To
Uh,
call Jordan Peterson a Nazi, you have to
Stupid.
be probably the most ignorant person I've probably never seen any of his talks or read any of his books.
Yeah.
So it worries me that they had someone like that hired to do Captain America, one of the biggest heroes in Marvel. And it's just like, hey, you know, your run with Black Panther, which didn't do well, by the way. It's just like, hey, you didn't do well with that. So yeah. How about you write Captain America too? Like you didn't do good with
Yeah.
Black Panther, so yeah, let's let you do that. Just like that other guy I told you about that made the was it the New Warriors, whereas the guy Safe Space and Snowflake, and his comic book was dead on arrival, and now they chose him to write for Blade, one of the most prominent Black characters, and it's a white guy too. So it's weird that they kind of turn on themselves with that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I don't. It's weird, and I also had a point too, and it kind of just like went over my.
And that's okay. Shagsworth. Not only are we gonna see Jordan Peterson live, we're gonna meet him because we got VIP tickets, and I'm so excited. I don't know
Yeah.
what that entails. It could be like 5 minutes, 5 seconds, who knows? But
Yeah, that's why I have like something I want to say to him, but it's gonna be short and sweet because I can't imagine. Do you think where we are, because it's mostly, I mean, it's mostly blue here. Do you think it would probably be a big turnout for Jordan
yeah,
Peterson?
there's gonna be a
Yeah.
huge turnout. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm,
I think there's a lot of people that don't subscribe to any of this stuff, but they're still very quiet
mm.
because, and like I get so many comments about that too. Like people will DM me say, I appreciate you speaking up, but I can't do it because I'll lose my job. It's like, okay, so you don't care about your freedom. You don't care about the world being a better place because you're letting me do all the work. So
Yeah.
like I think a lot of people who are quiet don't want to speak up, probably gonna go to the show, meet him, get a boost of motivation. At least that's what I do when I'm feeling like this thing is never going to end or whatever. I like to listen to other people to help like encourage me to speak out more. Um, yeah, so I think
It
it'll be a
may,
good
and
turnout.
the thing is, some people may find that harsh, and they may think that, oh, well, I mean, there's, I have my livelihood, I have this, I have that. But the thing is, like, you don't understand because it's not going to end. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at that part now where it's just like, yeah, it's not going to end as long as long as people are compliant when it comes to all this stuff. And even when it comes to, even things like with their entertainment industry, like these things won't change unless you really do hurt their pockets or unless, just culture in general changes. And it just really gets to me. I get really exhausted even. Like I go on to Bounding Into Comics. I love going there for all my all my news when it comes to entertainment, especially comic books. But I get a little slither of hope when I see our boy Eric, making waves, and he's gonna
Mm,
have his own company. And when the new year starts, that's why I think he's gonna roll some stuff out. And
mm,
I think he said he's predicting maybe in 2022, at the end of 2022 or 2023, that he's gonna have one of the most popular Black original characters, not someone who was based off of another superhero. It's gonna be Eric. That one of his first superheroes that he's making is an original Black character. So it's not based off Spider-Man. It's not based off anyone. It's his own character. So I'm excited that that's already a competitor that we know
yeah,
that's up and coming. And imagine he gets a deal. He has a studio, and
yeah,
he's like I saw one of his streams. He's like, I'm putting it out there. I'm gonna have one of the biggest characters, and I believe it.
that's
But
awesome. I
yeah,
believe it too. You put your mind to it. Hell yeah.
yeah.
I saw something. I don't know if I saved it. I saw it this morning. It came across my Facebook timeline, and I just laughed about it because the advertisement was ridiculous. And it was basically a comic book company that their caption of the comic book said, we're rewriting history." And something, something, something. Basically, it was a comic book of all Black characters in Egypt and stuff like that. Like they had superpowers and shit like that. But I'm like, even that is, you are already, instead of making art, you're focused on making a political statement.
Yeah,
Like you're saying that you're
exactly.
gonna go back and change history when you know you can't do that. Just make a damn character. Like
Yeah.
why?
And
Stupid.
one of the things that actually really annoys me is that even Eric talks about it too, is that a lot of people think that the comic book characters that we have now, let's just say like Superman, Spider-Man, or Batman, are really, they're still relevant now because of them being white. Which is funny because I would say it's more of the opposite, because they actually had to be interesting characters and they didn't rely on their race and brought up any struggles or other things having to deal with their race. They're actually interesting characters and very relatable, which is why they still exist now. So that's why you see Spider-Man as probably one of the biggest heroes, because he's so easily relatable. And people just making remixed versions of these characters and then saying that they can relate to them. It actually makes me feel sad when people can only relate to Spider-Man when there was a Miles Morales. Like that's like, to me, that's just like that is like, it's messed up to say, but it's also sad. It's just like, okay, so that was the only way that you can relate to Miles, was when he, well, because Miles is, no matter what, just a dark shade of Peter Parker, because they very much share the same personality. And one of the main things that we're seeing now when it comes to comics or characters is that everyone legit right now, it's a fad, everyone's gay. It's not, I'm not saying anything against that or whatnot, but everyone is just turning gay. And I'm at that point where it's just like, everyone's just gonna be like, right now they just introduced a comic where Wonder Woman and Supergirl are about to get at it. And it's just
Ew.
like, when was this a thing? And it's just like, and I understand Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn had a thing too, but it's at that point, it's like, oh well, we got Tim Drake. It's like, oh well, we got Superman's son. It's just like almost every time I see DC doing something, everyone's turning gay. And I'm like, it has to be at a point where this does get tired and it's a fad where people think that this is different, but it's not, because you're doing the same thing with every hero. Eventually, what they're doing with every hero right now is that there's going to be a black version, there's going to be a gay version, there's going to be probably a mute version. There's going to be like something wrong, not wrong with it, but there's going to be a distinct feature where it's just like, yeah, boom, we got Flash, but he ain't got no legs. So like, what? It's like moves at the
He uses
but he's numbing around. And you know what? He comes from this tribe that was oppressed, and it's just like he's just getting by with his pure will. And
Rainbow Lantern. That's another one in the chat.
and that's what's going on right now. And that's why I'll go back to the activists, because to me they're mostly children, except Ta-Nehisi Coates, grown-ass man, and should be ashamed of himself. But it's just, we have children writing this stuff, and even I get offended where I love these characters that were made so long ago, and you have children taking over. Like, someone's taking over Wolverine. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a bisexual son. Yeah. Oh, you know what? He's gonna have this daughter. You know what? Maybe she likes dip. I don't know. And you just have these children who didn't have anything to do with the original characters, and now they're just like, my way of remixing them is, kind of making them gay. Boom, revolutionary.
It's terrible. This is going to be known as the queer revolution in history. Like years down the line, we're going to be like, remember that time they turned everything gay? It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that. Why like, are you gay? Interview. Why are you gay? Who's gay? You are gay. Yeah. And it's weird. I forgot what philosopher did this exactly, but I was reading into this. They have like this technique, or they had this technique. They're no longer alive, where they would always just keep asking question after question after question to kind of get people to elaborate on what they're doing. And after a while of doing that, which is kind of like what I do in a way, but I guess the idea is if you keep doing it, eventually you'll find out that the person you're questioning doesn't actually believe what they're talking about. Like, for example, if I were to say, why do you want representation? Like, let's say you were a black guy and you really wanted to be represented in a movie. Why do you want representation? Because it's going to help me feel inspired. A lot of people don't have that growing up. Okay, so you need a cartoon character to make you feel inspired. No, and then you just keep going and going. You just keep asking them, because when it comes down to it, the idea of representation sounds ridiculous. Like in your head, okay, but when you actually say it on paper, it sounds so infantile for you to be looking for representation through something that doesn't really exist in the real world. And but also, even if it's something like a live action movie or whatever, a person on a commercial, how does that affect you? That already tells me that you're focused on someone else's life instead of your own life. Why is the focus? It's almost like if I think of all the characters in comics that they're turning gay, I have to consider from the perspective of a gay person looking at all these comics of the straight characters saying, what about me? How come I don't get any characters about me? It's like, well, wait a minute. So now you do. So now is your life any better? Do you feel happier? Like, what did that do? I'll never look at a comic book or a movie and be like, I don't see myself in here, and throw a tantrum over it. Like, if I'm like, or I would make my own shit if I really wanted to.
I mean, I just find it weird, like you said, though, to even attach like what motivates you to something that doesn't exist. Like, I can get from a perspective of to me, like, Spider-Man will always be one of my favorite heroes, because he's the ultimate underdog, and he was basically a teenager going through all this shit, didn't have his parents, lived in a big city, was really isolated, and had to do a lot of things on his own. So a lot of the stories I could relate to him, but like as a person, he so happened to be a superhero, but it's the human aspect that I really admired about him. And that in itself can inspire people. That's to me one of the main things of why superheroes exist, is to inspire people, because they're always people who have gone through tragedy and gone through so many horrible things, but then saw the light at the end of the tunnel and still go ahead and help people. You know, people bring up like, oh, there's no way that I can relate to like Batman. I'm not a billionaire or anything. I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's people whose parents were murdered, probably not brutally in front of them, but imagine after seeing that, I know this is a comic book character, but he saw his parents get murdered. Think about it. How many other people will think that they want to help people after seeing that when they saw the most horrible thing that people are capable of? But he was just like, he saw something like that and was just like, you know what? I want to help people and make sure no one goes through that. Instead of being like, you know what? Fuck people. I don't want to do that. I don't want to look out for anyone and probably hate everybody. So that's one of the things that I admire about at least like Batman to me, is just his willingness and the fact that he still found light in a like in a horrible situation. What did he do with that pain? He put it towards something else. There was a horrible thing that happened in his life, and he put that energy into something else and became better because of it, which is usually the case with a lot of superheroes. A lot of superheroes usually go through tragedy, and what's more inspiring about them is what they did with that tragedy and became better from it and then help people. That's why I hate the fact that people are just taken from comic book characters. Oh, great, Wonder Woman's finally black. That's what's up. And it's just like, no, but it should be the characters. Obviously, we're not going to relate to the powers. We're not going to relate, you know, to the background, but it should be the type of character that they are and what should inspire us. So, but to take something from like, let's just say, you know, like what Superman's son, and now that he's bisexual, whatnot, and say like, oh, now I can finally feel attached to this character. Like you said, if you were to write that on paper, that does sound ridiculous. Like that just, it's just like that's the only way that I can relate is through something that's actually not there. And to me, that plays more into like how this generation is looking at, what would you say, like acceptance. People are looking for acceptance in all the wrong places, at least to me in this day and age.
A lot of this generation has this desire to be included, to feel included. They're not going to tell you that, but I can just tell, because otherwise, like I personally do not care to be included. Like I am content being alone. You know, I don't like being alone, but I'm content. I can do it. I'm not going to cause a stink about it. Whereas a lot of people, I think, in this newer generation, they just want to feel included and be a part of something. And we were talking about this today on stream, where someone was like, just say you're conservative because you are. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to put myself in a box. I'm not going to label myself. And I don't know what everyone's obsession with labels are or identity is in the first place, because it's like, that doesn't define you. And also, when you have this desire to always be included, eventually these little groups, these little labels are going to get infiltrated by people that don't actually follow whatever it is that you're doing. And like an example, like I could say like Christians, right? You'll have Christians that say, oh, I'm a Christian, but they're not really Christian. They're like fake Christians.
Mhm.
So it's like, just be comfortable with yourself. And if you're comfortable with yourself, then you won't need to always have to impress other people and fit in and be represented and all this stuff. Because if I were to just take your these attributes away, if we were just to take away the fact that you were, I think Brighton might have showed me this clip actually. I forgot what show it was, but everyone was blobs. Maybe it was the Fairly Odd Parents, I want to say. It was blobs. Where all the characters were just gray, black and white blobs that all look the same, but they still created problems. They were like, oh no, I'm a darker blob than you.
Oh,
I'm
that sounds
slightly
mad
different
familiar.
blob.
Yeah.
And they still found things to complain about. So, and I think that's just something people have to accept, is you are never, ever, ever going to be completely satisfied. There's always going to be something that annoys you. But I think when you're going in it looking from the perspective of just like, I need to be represented about this or this or this, you're going to get to a point where people are going to be like, well, you don't have the right eyebrows. Your eyebrows are messed up. I want to be, I want to be with the good eyebrows. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous.
Before we kind of had like our political awakening, was there a specific, let's just say, figure in entertainment, rather be a movie, comic, or anything like book, there where you look towards a specific figure and was just like you can relate to them basically off of like skin features or just Not even like the character herself. Like you've always kind of thought this way. Like you never really found yourself to relate to. Oh, I relate to Storm because she's black and she's strong.
Mm.
You never had
Mm.
that when you were young.
I don't think I've ever had a character that I could say I relate to. I look at people, I look at the character attributes and say, I like that attribute. I like that this person it has bravery. I like that this character was able to overcome adversity. I like that this character has really good sense of style. But it was never just one specific character. It was always like the behavior, like their mindset that I was drawn to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's your mindset I was drawn to too, babe.
yeah, mine.
Yeah. God damn, that's
Damn.
how you got me, babe.
Oh shit. I reeled you in.
No, but seriously, you're great. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I still, no matter what, when you had your mohawk, I still compare you to Storm. Not because you're black, though. I mean, she is black, but still, she's a strong queen. And I'm just like, yeah, there you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're gassing me up on your own channel. Yeah, thank you,
babe. I have to because you do it with me as well. Snap. Oh, we got Della in here.
We got a few faces in here.
Ooh, yeah. He was also talking about how the Black Panther, the little sister, may not. I don't know. I keep hearing that she is coming back, but he's saying that she left the movie.
Oh, because of the vaccine thing?
Yeah, most likely. And it's funny because she's a huge Christian as well. Because I saw, well, not as well, it's still practicing, but she's still like she was on the Bible app that I was looking at. And she was going through a verse, and I was just like, "Wait, hold up, what?" she literally popped up as I saw an article about her. So yeah, and Della was talking about how they were always preach like, "Hey, Black Queen magic," but the second that she didn't tiptoe a certain way, she was getting dragged. It was mostly by Black people too. It was just saying like, "Oh," and then they put up pictures of other Black people that would take her place, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? We don't need her," and blah blah blah, and that magic kind of like. Just
gone,
like Thanos snapped, it's gone because she didn't tiptoe a certain way, and everyone's like, "Well, she's endangering everybody," and it's just like,
I mean, are you surprised? I mean, we went through my cancellation. That was literally the same thing. Well, all the Black creators gassing me up. Oh my God, she's queen. She's doing so good. Look at her. Amplify her voice. Oh, she don't like Black Ariel. Oh no, we got to silence her because her rhetoric is problematic and harmful.
Yeah,
same thing.
And I hated how I saw some people try to bring up Chadwick Boseman, that passed away from Black Panther, and trying to say like, oh, if he was around, she wouldn't be acting like this and everything. I was like, that is the dumbest shit I've heard. First of all, you don't know where his thoughts or like where his opinions lied. Even if there was some things, it's just like you can't assume how that conversation was going to go with them. But it's just like, yeah. Oh, Della said y'all not Black. That's what's up.
Well, I mean, I've been told that my entire life. I mean, it's not new. something I don't know.
But yeah, we got here.
Yeah.
We got Gothix does look like Storm. See, there you go.
Oh, thank you so much.
Flawdzilla sent me. Cool, cool.
Welcome,
I
welcome.
gotta look over that more for sure. I am curious to see what they do with the new X-Men. I feel like they're gonna change everyone's race and gender. That's why I think I won't go as far as calling it woke, but the new Eternals movie, thank God that you didn't see, did the worst out of all of them. And I know that they try to be really diverse. They changed genders. They changed a lot of features, but to me it just wasn't a good story. But I get afraid for X-Men because now the MCU does have X-Men. I don't know if you've ever seen the cartoon when you were younger. I did, and it was lovely.
I love
it. It was great, and the fact that they're bringing it back, and I'm like, whenever
they're bringing back the cartoon, the animated. Oh,
yeah,
no, they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah, and I get worried whenever people say, I haven't seen it said yet, but when people say like, hey, where it's being made for a modern audience. And
what is a modern audience?
Whenever
a sterile audience?
Yeah. Whenever you hear modern audience, that's already just says PC to me.
That's PC.
That means it's gonna be banned.
Babe, I know I've been swearing a lot on your channel, but am I allowed to swear again?
It's fine. I'm trying not to, because like I'm just trying. No, I mean just for myself. All I mean, it gets out there, but whatever happens, happens. But babe, you go ahead.
These people that I want to make content for the modern audience, a politically correct, sterile audience. I just want to say to them, stop being a pussy. Like I'm at that stage. Stop being a pussy. Like I'm going back to high school here, because I have to consider, when it really gets down to it, are these people that are complaining about representation, and this is too harmful, and this is too not inclusive enough, and this is too whatever, would these people legitimately be on the front lines to defend our country from an invasion? Like, I like to
No.
think in absolutes like that. Would these people be able to survive in another country that they're always dealing with constant wars and civil wars and shit like that? Like, would we have that? And I don't think so. These would be the people that would probably go cower in their safe space. And I think these types of people should stay in their safe space instead of trying to ruin the rest of society for us.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're definitely in a generation where they don't know how to handle conflict. And I don't think a lot of people know, well, more of the younger generation, or just a majority of people. I don't know if I can just say Twitter, because I think that's where they all thrive and where they live, is having that conflict face to face.
Mm.
That's why you're seeing so many people react in such a violent way. Like, hey, you said the N word, I can beat the crap out of you for that. To me, that's some really, not even like mental, like the maturity's not there, but that's like, you're not stable. Like, you're not stable to think that someone can say a word and you're warranted to beat the crap out of them. To me, that says something about you. But I see it more with the younger generation, is just not knowing how to handle conflict. And that's why I related a lot to that movie Demolition Man, which I'm going to make a little video about. I want us to watch so you can
Yeah.
see what I'm talking about. But yeah, if anyone's ever seen Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, one of the best movies. If you want to see where our generation's kind of heading and how people are going to be, that's a great way to view it. And I plan to definitely do a video on it so everyone can see it. But yeah, we're just in a society that doesn't know how to handle conflict. I'm talking about in any way. That's why we're seeing goalposts and things just change within culture. You know, like what's the most recent thing? I saw a school that's trying to stop teachers from assigning D's and F's for like bad grades to help out the
So they
black
want the kids to
and
be dumb.
Latin community. So it's and then also, you know, within what is it, in Oregon, where they're trying to not have it a requirement when graduating from high school to know like math or to have reading or writing skills to a certain level. So it's just weird. It's people's just feelings, and it's just changing everything around us. And that's why you put it, in other words, it's people being pussies. It's
Being pussies. Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, I can't imagine all the people. Let's just say all the people that come at you. Imagine if out of nowhere there was just like a draft, and it's just like, yeah,
It
y'all.
would be the last
Yo.
ones to go up there. They would be screaming and pouting, like, "Oh, oh, oh!" It's like, no, 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 no. And then when we get down to the whole situation of, let's protect women and children, then it's gonna get really interesting with a lot of the LGBT ideology that's been happening. It's like, okay, hold on a second. You said this is what you are, so go to war.
You know, it actually makes me wonder how that drafting process is going to be when like that happens. It's just like, well, I identify as like, well, your identified ass is going to be going to the army.
Yeah, you can identify on the front lines. I guess. This is the real world now. I'm telling you, these people in America that are like this are going to get a crude awakening, down the line. I don't even think it's like, I hate to sound just doom and gloom, but I something's telling me it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if things happen with America. And I think that my idea is that I think these woke people might actually be the first persons to get sent out. I think, like, just in the context of like if I was like a world leader or something, like an evildoer, right? If I was an evildoer, if I was a dictator, an evildoer, and I wanted to have like a wonderful society, what I would do is I would first use useful idiots to help project, like push my message. And then when I needed people to fight for me, I would also use these useful idiots. So they would be the first ones to go. And then when everything is done, you're going to have a perfect society because there's not going to be any more woke stuff because at that point, you have everything that you want, right? Yeah, you have people fight for you, you have people push policy. This is just an idea, but in my mind, that seems logical.
It does. It's still
Yeah.
like you said though, like these people be kicking and screaming, going
They'll
to
be
the
kicking and
front.
screaming, but
I can't even imagine. Someone said, like, was it your next actually said something that obviously makes a lot of sense. Is newer generations have spent so much time living through their devices and it's made them socially retarded.
yes.
Yeah. No, I would say for
Yeah.
sure social media plays a big part on culture, which is why culture is the way it is. I think it's because of social media. I think it's more of a domino effect when you think about the entertainment space. If it kind of goes through stages. When you get through social media, you can change the type of content that people see, and then thus seeing certain algorithms, you say like, hey, well, people look like they're leaning towards this. Here's these loud people on Twitter. I think we should make a Black Superman movie. So it's just, I feel like that's how it goes. It's literally in stages, and it gets more scary as I discuss it. I just now when you were talking about it, let's just say when we lived at the other place, I was just like, no, babe, you're talking about all this. It's like I believe, but it's not so much I can see it. And I was just like, damn, I see it now.
Yeah.
It's more and it's because people are just not hiding it either.
Yeah.
And the more that we see, and the more that I see the doubling down, I know these companies, like, they're not making money. They're just not, because let's just say, like, when they make a superhero gay, the people on Twitter who are for this don't buy comic books. And the thing is, like, these companies know that. That's why there is layoffs going on, like at DC and at Marvel. These people that love it, Yas Queen, we got a transgendered Amazon now. Cool. Yeah, I'm not buying it though. But it's they like the fact that it makes other people mad. That's why there's like I think Eric talked about it, where there was people who were laughing at all the redhead characters that turn black, and there's like a big graph or like a big kind of grid showing each character, and it was just conversations of people just happy, and they're not getting this stuff. They're just happy, like, yeah, that's right. Wally West, yeah, he's black now. Oh, Iris, she's black now, and it's just like they're just happy that this stuff is going on. It's out of spite. And it's weird to even get off on that type of thing. It's just like, yeah, people don't want Peter Parker. Oh no, they don't want Batman, Superman to be black. Yeah, yeah. Like, just sitting in their corner doing it.
Well, you've said I've actually said this before on Krigler's show when I was on there. I actually said this and I blew his mind. And I said, how do these people feel knowing that they created a character off the back of an original white character? Like, you're talking about representation, you're still taking from a white man. You're not able to make your own character. You take from the white man and then you switch it up. It's like that would make you feel, that would make me feel like shit, knowing that I can't contribute anything original to society, and I can only, and it's interesting because what we're talking about right now, this sort of tokenizing and making straight characters gay and white characters black, it's sort of a subtle way to condition people to adopt to socialist principles. Because what is a socialist principle is the millionaires have this and we don't. We the people, we the have-nots don't have it. So we're going to get angry at the millionaires and we're going to take what they have. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, all these characters, these are all white characters. We don't have it. We're going to take what they have. It's the same shit.
Yeah. And you would think I mean, I get more offended. Let's just say if you want to like race swap someone, it's just like for representation. It's like, no, I would feel more offended that you don't want to create another character. Not that you should create another character just based off the fact of them being black, gay, or like another gender, but it's just like, that's, to me, the creativity is just out the window. It's just like, okay, well, we're going to make this person, a different shade. That's it. That's, to me, that's just creatively lazy. But I don't, it's like you said, it's really to change the culture and to change the way that people are. So that's why we're seeing, in a time where racism should be dead, you're seeing people hold on to it is because of they're being told to hold on to it. And the more that we see this in comic books, like, hey, this superhero is being praised for the fact that they're gay instead of their character, that's what people are going to take from the superhero. And it's going to take like, hey, they're brave because, because they're gay. And it's just like, they're not brave because of the struggles that they went through in their life. No, because they're gay. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
but it's just it's sad that that's where it's heading, or not even where it's heading, kind of where it is now. But I'm just glad that we do have the subsection of people. I think the majority of people do think at least the way that we do. They're just quiet. I think that more of the people that do love this type of stuff or with identity politics, I think it is way smaller than we think. They're just really loud,
Yeah,
and they're
no,
giving
yeah.
them and they're giving the microphone from the media and from these entertainment places because they're mostly lean left. But yeah, it's just a small section of people. Imagine that. That gets me even more mad when you see that things are changing literally because of like a little group of people. It's just like whenever like you're in school and you have that one person that's talking, the whole class has to pay for it because of
Mhm.
that one person. That's what it feels like right now. We just have these group of kids in the corner that are screaming for these fucking stupid ass changes, and it changes everything. I find that weird. It's literally like a big ass classroom right now. And you
Yeah.
just have the really socially awkward people. Well, no, not, I wouldn't even say that. The loud ass dumbasses that want these changes, and it's just changing everything else. No, it's weird.
That's a I've talked about this before. I have the book Rules for Radicals. That's literally a tactic where they say if you have an organization that doesn't have a lot of numbers, what you do is you make a big stink to make it look like your organization has a lot more numbers. So, in this context, if you know that these 5 TV shows give you these many amount of audience members, let's say 40,000 people watch each of these TV shows, all you need is 5 woke people to go on these shows and be the representative of all this woke nonsense and talking about representation and stuff. And then all of these thousands upon thousands of people that are watching these shows are going to be like, oh, maybe this is a thing. If it's on TV, it must be true. If it's on TV, what I'm saying, what I'm hearing must actually like be the way that it's supposed to be. So yeah, I think that's what it is they're finding these, and this is why I think the discussion about representation got so big, because it helps weed out who's with the woke ideology and who isn't. Because I don't know of anyone that's self-sufficient, that doesn't victimize themselves, who would be on board with representation. If they're out there, I haven't met them. I because that to me is not something that will ever be on my mind when I'm too busy worrying about how am I going to pay my rent, how when am I going to go see my family. Like these things don't matter to me. Like the representation, it doesn't matter.
No. And I think one of the biggest changes that we see culture wise, and especially like the PC culture within entertainment, what they changed, besides it being relations and just normalization of a lot of things, they're like, even I saw that clip circulating with the new Sex in the City, and they were talking about like, oh, quick with the pronouns, are you? And they're injecting like that type of stuff too, and like really kind of old shows that we had back then. It's also the attack on masculinity. So I think that was probably one of the things that we were talking about when we were bringing up like Johnny Bravo, where it's just like wouldn't say that he's peak masculinity, but it's just when you look at masculinity as a whole now, the way that it's depicted in the comic books and in movies and in shows, it's definitely way different than what we were at least used to seeing.
Mm.
But I mean, yeah, they did concentrate the fact that like Johnny Bravo, he was a mama's boy, and that like he was hitting on like anything and everything in sight, but
I love
he
Johnny
took care of his
Bravo.
body.
I
He took
love
care of
it.
his body, and then he was funny with his pickup lines. And yeah, and it's just like he and like he cared for his mom. Was he still his mom? But it's just like, even though they were showing like disrespect, I love the fact that the parent they included was his mom, that he still respected her. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's why we'll never see any kind of like any characters like that now. And especially when it comes to comic books, it's just any kind of like prominent male characters. I feel like that's what they're gonna go after. Also, it's just like, hey, you know what? Now they're gay. Like I remember what happened with Soldier. Was it, what's his name? Soldier in Overwatch
76.
76,
Yeah.
when they announced that he was gay, just literally out of nowhere though.
Mm.
And then people like, oh yeah, you're mad that he's gay now. Yeah. And it's just like, but he was known as one of the most like alpha male characters of Overwatch. So
Mhm.
like to do that almost seemed like that was on purpose.
It was
Like
on, it
it's
was on
like you
purpose. It
took
was on
like more of
purpose.
like an alpha male character, and it's like boom, he's gay
Think
now.
about this for a
And yeah.
second. Think about this for a second. All right, I'm gonna blow your mind right now. I don't know if I've ever said this. Okay, So they made the most masculine character in Overwatch gay. Blizzard is owned by whom? Like, let me say this. So remember there was this esports thing where they were having it was hosted by Blizzard. I think they were playing Hearthstone, and some of the people that were playing they held up a sign that was in support of Hong Kong and the protests over there where they were losing their freedom, and they wanted to find this player and penalize him for holding this up. And it's because Blizzard is backed by China. And in China, they're putting this curriculum to encourage men to be more masculine, while America is being encouraged to be emasculated. So think about that. Like, China more masculine, America
Less
is
masculine.
emasculated, and it even boils down to the games that are backed by China.
That's crazy. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they do have it implemented within their military to be like, I guess they're focusing on more masculinity within
Yes.
the military.
And then if you take it a step further, why would China be making their male population more masculine? And why would America be making our male population emasculated? Well, just think of the wild. What happens in the wild? Okay?
Just think of the wild. They're gonna attack us, babe.
They're gonna attack our ass. Yep, and it's all because of the pronouns.
The way you said China, you're next to say
China.
China. Someone said America's gender fluid. I mean, at this point.
God.
Oh man.
Seriously. I saw a question in here.
I'm trying to look
From
forward to
Selma. Selma, I'm gonna put up on a screen. I'm gonna click it
Okay.
right here. There we go. Hey, Selma.
this. Hi.
Want to read it?
Yeah.
It's your show.
All right. Yeah. All right. If you get a black woman who claims that a trans white man sexually harassed her, who do you think SJW, BLM, the left would believe?
Black trans woman who claims the trans white woman sexually harassed her. I think they would believe the black woman first. But
That'll make them scratch their heads really hard.
It would make them scratch their head, but I think Della already responded in chat because the We Spa incident was exactly that. It was a black woman.
Oh yeah, that's true.
A white trans person. From what I saw, this was just a dude. And they cited, well, I wouldn't even say they cited. I think a lot of people online sided with the trans individual at that point because they didn't see the context. They didn't see the picture of the person. They didn't see the person's rap sheet. They automatically sided with them. But I think that the people that were protesting this, they were a minority. I think most people are like, nah. They said it with the trans. Yeah. So I think it depends. But like I said, I think it just confuses people. Because like if we could just look at the context of me and having all these you know, a lot of the white allies come at me calling me Uncle Tom, calling me a coon. It's like, hold on a second, I thought you were trying to help black people. What's going on? Like, am I not qualified for this? What's happening?
But then like their viewers automatically choose them over you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, we believe that, you know, that there's racism and that black people, you know, they have all these oppressions. It's like, yeah, but this black person doesn't think so. It's like, attack them. It's just like, it's weird. No.
Oh, here's another one. Aaron says that Soldier 76 is also the most patriotic.
I was gonna read that one too. And
Yep.
it's true. Yeah, like Soldier 76, that's an emphasis on them being, well, their name is Soldier.
Yep.
So that's what they put an emphasis on. And then like most of their costumes, them in like their uniform. And out of all characters, boom. Like we been knew that, what's the one that teleports? That's very annoying. That she's like
Tracer?
a mascot.
Tracer?
Yeah.
The
Like we've
lesbian?
been knew she was lesbian. Like that's
That's
the thing. So I didn't like, you had representation in that fact that you made them basically the mascot of Overwatch was a lesbian from the get. But then it's just like, no, we need to turn more of them gay.
But it's crazy because even these like, and Overwatch is a good representative of this idea that you know, you called it out. Why are they putting a big emphasis on the fact that the person on the cover of this game is a lesbian? Because when you're playing the game, you don't hear any voice lines of romance
No.
or sexuality. You hear nothing. So this backstory was simply just something to, it was like a seed planting in people's head because we don't hear about it in the game. So why do we
No.
care?
Yeah, and I also found it weird because I always brought this up without even so much pointing to the fact, because I said it was for that reason. I was just like, there's way more interesting characters than Tracer that to me could have been like the mascot of Overwatch. So there's no other reason why than the fact that she was a lesbian to put her on the top. I'm sorry, but when I look at Reaper, when I look at Junkrat, when I look at these way more interesting looking characters, I'm like, that's someone who I probably would have put to, entice people to get it, even though it's a success, and regardless it worked. But let's be real, don't you think a guy who looked like Junkrat on the cover would be a lot more appealing than just like this chick who is also kind of sexualized in a way, has like the tightest pants too, and like they make kind of like revealing outfits for Tracer too. It was like, oh, but the fact that she's gay, I don't know, like I find it weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird.
Cool.
I still play it though.
Yeah.
Not because she's a lesbian. I just play because I like the game.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely gotta fix my audio. I know I got that from someone there. Remember they turned Blink from Asian X-Men film character into a Caribbean POC? Actually, no, I don't remember that one at all.
I did not know that.
Someone put your next. My pronoun now is the dude.
The dude. No. You can't be appropriating the pronoun thing. That's not your lane.
Well, talking about appropriating, even though this would not be, well, they are someone that's part of entertainment. But babe, what do you think of when your favorite television hosts, Joy Reid, saying that Elon Musk was appropriating the term Karen from black people?
I want to snatch her weave. That is what I think about. I've already told you this. I told you my answer. I told you last night. My answer is not changing. Okay, that's how I feel.
I just wanted everyone to get the react.
I'm gonna snatch that shit. It's annoying. She is acting like the representative of the Negro delegation and saying that this is appropriating black culture. Who are you? What is this?
I didn't know that we made the term Karen.
We didn't make the term Karen, and I did a freaking movie. I did a video on this
BET.
where I talked about I don't have no problems with people referring to someone as Karen. The problem comes when the word Karen is used in a racial context. You associate Karen only with white women. That's the problem. And so when she's just adding to this, saying that, oh, this is something that black people created, again, it just reconfirms my theory on this, that Karen is just a slur that black people use against white people. And that's where I have a problem with it. Because Karen is Karen. It could be anybody. I know listen, I've seen many fight videos of black people fighting in Waffle Houses, and I could say all of them are Karens. So no, I hate it.
Leon said, show me a black woman named Karen.
It doesn't matter. You know what I'm talking about.
You went the rock on him, but it doesn't matter.
You know what I'm talking about.
But I always associated Karen, honestly, just because of being in customer service. Karen as that person, like, I want to talk to the manager. Like, the Karen haircut, where it's like, it's just a short length and blah, blah, blah. That's what I always associated it with. I never associated Karen because just a white woman. I thought it's just like, you would usually in customer service, like, oh, this person's being a Karen. So it's just someone who's giving you a hard time, especially when it comes in like to customer service. So like when you type it in too, like on YouTube, now it's probably more racial shit. But usually whenever you did Karen before all this shit, it was people who was giving other people in customer service a hard time.
Yeah. And also the other thing with that, it was that the media played a big role in this, because if the behavior of the woman asking for the manager and throwing a tantrum in the store is a Karen, they never show these videos of black people in the same situation don't get as much traction. So it's like the media and big tech working to build this narrative also that the Karen is a white thing. So it's almost how I look at the situations of like hate crimes and how they're building this white supremacy narrative when you only show it from the perspective of a white person acting like a jerk versus a black person acting like a jerk. It's just building the narrative.
Sorry, I laugh at Dell. He said Lakeisha is a black Karen.
Lakeisha is a black Karen. Lakeisha. Ooh.
That's racist.
It's very racist, Della. That's racist. You should be ashamed of yourself.
That's mom's like, I'm pretty sure there is a black Karen out there.
Probably is. They probably are. They're probably not as common names because we have Lakeisha and Sharkeisha.
all the
Shaquisha
names
all of these names
used to be really funny to me. Actually.
I'm glad my parents weren't that creative and I just have Vanessa. Yeah.
There's a lot of Karens here in Brooklyn, especially in fast food places and post offices. From Selma.
I totally went on a tangent. Now we're talking about all the juicy stuff.
See, someone say show Kwee.
Show Kwee?
Now everyone's naming some like overly
Show Kwee.
Exaggerated name. Joy is a black Karen. Ironic name. And it's funny her name is Joy because I see none of that when I look at her face. I just I did want that fire from my babe's eyes.
Well, let me ask you something about, since we're on the topic of names, you know how a lot of black people complain that society systemically discriminates against them because of quote unquote I don't even know if I should say traditional names or African names. I don't think African names, because I think that when people complain about for example, if my name was Shaquisha and I wanted a job and I applied for the job and I didn't get the job, I would then say that, oh, they discriminated me against the name Shaquisha. So who would you be mad at in that situation? Would you be mad at the job, or would you be mad at your parents because your parents gave you a name that is very out there and it kind of builds this sort of stereotype without you even trying? What is your take on this?
I mean, it's weird to be mad at anyone in that aspect. First of all, like, how would you know completely that it was because of your name with you not getting hired? So there's no way that you would even know that. And I know that I've seen someone try to talk about that they've done, this was like when I was in college though, someone did like a little study saying that they applied to places and they used different names, but they got more callbacks when it came to a certain name. And even to me, that really doesn't say much though. It was like, oh, I put the same qualifications and whatnot. It's like, how can you not see that it's more racist? It's like, no, I still wouldn't be able to make that assumption unless you honestly really do talk to these people. Yeah. So, but if anyone were to be mad in that aspect, you shouldn't be mad at the person. You should. That's what I'm saying.
Like, I would need more evidence to even consider that someone was discriminated because of their name. But even so, that's like asking, why didn't this store allow me to shop when I walked in with just nipple pasties on? Well, because that's not generally how we do things. That's just how the social norms are. If you want to call them social norms or whatever, you're gonna get looked at weird when you have something that makes you stand out. So in that case, if I had evidence that I was being discriminated against because of my name, I think I would be more pissed off with who gave me that name. Like we're just deciding right now when we have kids, we're not going to name our kid Shaquisha, Latifah, something like that. We're going to name them regular names. Yeah. So they don't complain about systemic racism in the future.
I mean, I would argue that if you do have that type of name, you're probably more likely to get a job, considering a lot of places have quotas, and that there's more research have shown that there's a lot of places that want to hire less white people. So if you do see something that is in regards to like Keisha or Lakeisha, or just, let's just say more black sounding names, which is weird to even say, you're more likely to actually get hired. And you will be dumb to say that that's not the case right now. It is most certainly the case. We're seeing a lot of places that have quotas now. And to even say that that's a thing, even till this day, to me, is you're you're being oblivious and you're not being truthful in like in my point of view. It's just right now I think there is that such thing as black privilege. People say that that's not a thing either, and it's just like, no, it is. I would say especially right now,
Yeah.
like for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Totally.
And who I got here? Someone said Sam Jam was it? Young Ripper made a good point about how Miles Morales is simply piggybacking off of Peter Parker, and that's why he doesn't like Miles. Your thoughts? I mean, to me, let me actually just put that up. I can do it too. Yeah. I love Miles, like, regardless. Like, see, like I even have like a Miles Morales tattoo. He is essentially the same character in my opinion. They do have different arcs within their story. I know they have different situations, and I know there's going to be people that argue this, but let's be real, they share a lot of the same personality. And you know, I still like him as a character. Is he tokenized? Yes, he is. Even though people don't want to hear it, but Miles, he basically is. Do I dislike him as much as Ripper does? No. Like I still, I mean, like I like his I like he's, if you think about it, he is everything that Spider-Man is, but they actually gave him an extra couple of powers and they made his suit a bit better too. So I think it's kind of even more fucked up. They were just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna make this costume a bit better. He can shock people and he can turn invisible. What about Spider-Man? Nah, he's still the same. So it was just like they made a new character and they actually gave him better powers too, and along with what Spider-Man can already do. So but yeah, I will not, I'm not gonna, I'm not disagreeing with that. He is a tokenized character. I know people are gonna say like, oh, he's the, but he is a brand new character. It's still Peter, because without Peter there wouldn't be a Miles. But yeah. And like Ruben Leon said, like Peter's Spider-Man, Miles is Spider-Man, Spider-Pig, Spider-Man, all these versions, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. But then the first one is Peter Parker. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Notice when people say Miles Morales, they say Miles Morales because he's Miles Morales. Whenever we mention Peter Parker, he's Spider-Man. That's why it will never, whenever, I know that's how people are distinguishing them. But if he was truly Spider-Man, who we think of when we say Spider-Man first? Peter Parker. It's just how it is. I know, like one of Ripper's newest videos when he was talking about it, I loved it. I love that he was he concentrated on the fact that people are only upholding these characters after historically white people. But man, and he's making a new one too. I think that's going to be like an hour long, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I don't mind Miles Morales because I don't have the full context of comic books. Like I don't read comic books. I'm a straight to television and movie type of person. However, I can sense some funny business in a lot of these comic movies, and I'm like, okay, something's going on here. And it's usually based off of what you will tell me about comics. Like this character is supposed to look this way, and that's how I kind of base it off of. But like I don't mind Miles Morales, but I did cringe with all of the focus on his ethnicity and like his identity and stuff as a Latino in New York. Like that, I was just like, I don't even think I like what was the purpose of any of that stuff. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, but when I was playing I remember I was talking about when I was playing the video game, and they had the BLM mural, and I freaked out and I screamed. I was like, "Babe!" But the fact that even one of the simple things in the video game where Miles Morales' mom is running for office, under her name they had to make sure that they put the Puerto Rican flag. And to think that, to me, let's be real, like when you're running for office, should that matter?
No.
Should that matter? Would you put the ethnicity of your race included on like the signs for you running for office?
No.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense to me. So when I saw that in the video game, and that's one of the ones where it showed a guy on Twitch when he was crying, and I was just like, bro, really? And that's how it was really kind of concentrating on it. Thank God the game still had a decent story, and it wasn't so much on him being black. Like, I like the person that played him. He was actually a good character. But yeah, I mean, I hate when they do that. I think that's why the Spider-Verse movie was really popular, because to me at least, they didn't concentrate on that as much.
Yeah.
Like they really didn't. I didn't get an SJW vibe when I saw that movie. To me, it was a great movie. I like the
Yeah.
fact that they're hinting at a relationship between him and like the Gwen Spider. When originally, I think they said like he was supposed to be like a bi character, like a bisexual character. So I'm surprised that they weren't going to do that for the second one. Like, hey, guess what? You like Miles now, you're gonna like him a lot more.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I didn't get the vibes in the movie, but I got it with the game and then seeing like talk about the guy that cried that he was Puerto Rican, that Miles was Puerto
Yeah.
Rican. I'm like, you're crying over a fictional character, sir.
But yeah, babe, I want to wrap this up because I see that now we're actually almost at an hour and a half, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to feed you.
Want to feed me?
So yes, babe, you're
All
doing
right.
this. You man
I
hard
like
at
food.
work. I'm gonna get you food though.
It was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
What's
All
today?
right.
Today's
Today's
Friday.
Friday.
Is the noodle place open?
Oh shit. I don't
Alright,
know if it's
well,
open. I feel like they're not.
I mean, we can take that trip. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone that's joined. I really appreciate it. I'm probably gonna have another stream next week. I'm actually gonna have Della and have Cedric back. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man, assuming that everyone sees it by that time. And just talk about our thoughts and kind of nerd out about that. Babe, thank you so much for coming on. I am beyond grateful because you've done a lot and you still help me out.
I love
Sorry with all
you.
this. I love you too with all this business with this cam link and whatnot.
We
I'm
gonna
gonna
figure it
say
out.
that you gonna figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I guess you want. I know you're used to doing it, but plug your stuff in. Let
You all
everyone
know where to
know.
find me.
They all know.
You can find me.
All right, everyone. Well,
What about
thank you.
you? You didn't plug your shit.
I did. I got my name by Twitter. I get it's all in my.
All right,
dude.
y'all
Yeah.
go follow him. Go follow him, okay? All right, we're gonna help his channel get more popping, and then we can buy a new cam link at some point.
I'm gonna get it. All right.
All
But
right.
thanks a lot, everyone. I hope you have a great holiday. If I don't see you again, wait, no, actually, we'll see you again. But yeah, you have a great weekend and you take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.